Hey, ladies,
Mic
happy
check,
Monday.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah. Okay, crap. Was it a trap car quest?
Yes.
Ooh, I'm so excited about today's show, guys.
Me too. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, we do have a guest today. How was your weekend, ladies?
It was wonderful.
It was
good. Still celebrating the broker celebration, so I'm super excited.
Oh, that's what it is.
So I'm like, happy birthday. Like, it is not my
Got
birthday.
you.
It is not my birthday.
Heard you.
Y'all don't read.
Right.
You don't read. What's going on? How was your birthday? How was your birthday? Lord have mercy. How was your weekend?
My
Weekend's pretty good.
Yeah.
You did anything custom?
Yeah, we went to so I went to the BK Lobster.
Oh my
grand
God, I wanted to
opening.
go Saturday.
Yeah.
How was it?
Girl, like
Was it
so
good
the way you
food?
feel today is
Yes.
the way I felt yesterday.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, very
I'll
good.
be
Like
definitely
it was like I don't know if
making-
I don't know if they had them in Jersey, but like
Mhm.
back in the day, New York, we used to like that block parties used to be our thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, we definitely do black parties.
Yeah. So it was like the whole block party vibe. The food was phenomenal. Shout out to BK Lobster. We got to give them claps on
Yes.
that. They have some really good food. And yeah, it was a good vibe. It was really a good vibe.
I'm excited to hear that because
Yeah.
I'm actually planning to go this weekend. So
You
let me
should.
actually book that on Open
Yes.
Table now
Yes.
so I can get my seat.
Yes, you should. Which one are you gonna go to?
I'm going to go to the one right here. In,
Elizabeth? Yeah,
It's right
yeah,
here.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and also, you know, that's it's
Sterling.
close. It's close. Black owned. I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Woman of the week. Boom. Kat, how was your weekend, girl? Oh, first, let's give it up to Kat because she had a closing today.
Woo! Congratulations.
We have to get back to bringing in our like pictures and things and like what's listed, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Where was the house located?
Springfield.
Nice.
They look so happy.
They are very happy.
They look happy. How was your weekend?
I was actually in Brooklyn this week. Was it Friday? And walking downtown, I ran into BK.
Oh, I
Lobster.
did.
No
Yeah,
way.
you did. I did. Now that I think about it, yes.
You
you
took a
did.
picture?
Yeah.
Did you? You didn't go inside?
No. I didn't go. I didn't stop in.
Girl,
but I
you
did.
you did
speak
yourself
to
a
ser-
disservice.
Not a
It's
disservice.
That food, I mean,
It looked good.
and I'm very particular. I'm not even gonna speak about it. Just go. Just go.
Y'all know Kat don't eat on Fridays and Tuesdays.
That's not true.
So,
So coincidentally, I did stop by and I did tag it. Shout out to Sterling
Yeah.
because it's growing. I think it's Brooklyn,
Yes, Atlanta.
Was it Hoboken? Right, Hoboken.
It's a
And
lot.
I think
I'm
it's
not even gonna
Elizabeth,
start
so,
naming.
yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm very proud of them. All positive people. All people I knew beforehand. It's like so crazy how like this whole it's like such a small world. Like yeah. Power to them for sure. For sure.
Cool. Today we do have a guest.
Yes.
Via Zoom.
Yep.
You want to put her cue?
Yeah.
Maddie, the camera.
Oh no, but before we do that, I do want to give out the Zoom link and the number you can call in if you want to ask any questions. The telephone number would be 646-233-1302. And then if you have any questions or if you want to be on the actual screen with us, you can log into Zoom and type in meeting ID 858-2293-5110 or click any one of our bios and you can get in that way.
or y'all can call us. What's the number?
Oh, I just gave it, but I'll give
Did
it
I
again.
miss it?
Oh, it's fine.
I'm old.
It's fine.
That's 'cause
You like me.
No, I'm
like,
distracting
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So it's again.
Right.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's 646-233-1302.
We're so excited. Let's get
our
some clap from Miss
guest
Miles.
today is Miss Alana Miles.
Woo! Got to give a clap.
We should actually find that
Miss Miles is a real estate attorney. She has opened up her own firm in Newark, New Jersey.
Woo.
It was launched on Juneteenth of the last 2020.
Woo!
Miss Miles, she's located in Newark. She graduated from Columbia. She
Nice.
attended Rutgers University as well as Syracuse. So
Awesome.
Miss Miles is actually one of my favorite to-go attorneys. So I'm well knowledge on how she works, her process, but we'll let Miss Alana speak and introduce herself. Thank you for coming, Alana.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Hey, Miss Miles, you look
I see you guys
beautiful.
looking over.
You look beautiful today.
Thank you.
How was your weekend?
It was busy. I worked, but soon enough, I'm going on
I
vacation
was
at
gonna
the end
say,
of the
I knew
week.
you
So
was gonna say. I was like, did you get that vacation?
no, at the end of the week, I'll be on vacation. So I'm trying to get some things in motion before then. We had 4
Nice.
closings today. I just finished my
Yes.
Nice.
Woo.
Nice. Woo. Very good.
Where are you
Very, very
going, if you
good.
don't mind?
I'm gonna go to Destin, Destin, Florida. My little cousin is gonna have a birthday party, so I'll be down there.
Okay.
And then I'll spend Easter in Atlanta with my family.
Nice.
Very
Enjoy.
cool.
I know you deserve it. I know you're looking forward to it.
Please tell us how Atlanta will be on Easter. Please take a picture in your Easter outfit too. Please.
I will. It's always. I spent a lot of time down there, but it's very different from New Jersey because everything is open in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't. They
But
don't have
yeah,
COVID in
they don't
Atlanta.
have. Yeah, I
Mm-mm.
think that they don't think it exists down there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I always wear my mask.
Right.
Good for you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so Kat gave a sneak peek of Alana Miles, but my name is Alana Miles, like Kat said. I am originally from New York, upstate New York. I moved to Newark about 8 years ago for law school. I went to Rutgers Law Newark. After I graduated Rutgers, I spent some time doing litigation. So I first clerked for a judge doing civil litigation, and then I went on to represent the city of Newark doing litigation. So a lot of it was municipal matters, some civil rights matters, and then after that, I got into real estate. I used to work with a law firm called Hockaday Law, and I kind of got in it on a whim. I wanted to get into a new field. My background and my passion was litigation and education, but I wanted to get into something new and something that some another field that I could make more money in. So Steve Hockaday, he was my mentor, was like, "Hey, Alana, why don't you come work for my firm part-time? I'll teach you how to do real estate law. Just bring the business." And I was like, okay. And I did. I connected with a couple of agents who trusted a new attorney to learn the ropes. And then I did so. And when it made sense for me to branch off on my own, I did so. So I launched my own firm and on Juneteenth, like Kat said, and it's been a blessing.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
What a powerful introduction. Give it up for Miss
Yeah.
Mouse.
For
Yes.
sure. For sure. For sure. For sure.
I'm grinning like it's my birthday because I'm just so excited to see Miss Miles join us on June because we've been trying to get Miss Miles to come on here since last year.
Last
So
year, yeah, I remember.
yes,
So I was at Hockaday Law when you first asked, and um, yeah, because I wasn't on my own, I couldn't represent the firm in that way. But I'm by myself now, and
Perfect timing.
I'm in.
perfect time. And that was just less than a year ago that you were with someone else. So within that year, you opened up your whole law firm. Boss.
Boss mode. Right.
So bossy.
For sure.
Can you tell us what professional law do you currently practice? Because I know you mentioned starting off doing a few things. What do you currently do?
So the law firm primarily does real estate transactions only. I don't know why the lights. So real estate law is what the firm does. Real estate transactions, some litigation matters we might get in, but if it's involving real estate, we outsource that just because we have such high demand with our transactional field. But my background and my passion is education law, so I also practice education law in New York City, and then I go back and forth. Right now, due to the high demand, our New York deals we outsource to a firm in New York City, but yeah, education law and real estate law.
That brings up a new question. So, Miss Miles, you are licensed in New York and New Jersey.
Yes, correct.
Drop a bomb for that.
No.
That's Cat's favorite one. That is Cat's favorite one.
Custom?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how to take a break from the last portion. Like I feel like Alana just really she just really killed it. But before we go more into Alana, we have the House of the Week, which you want to bring up on the screen. The Lex Lewis. Yeah.
Let's come back.
Yeah. I guess we'll wait for that. Hold on. Yeah. Shout out to everyone that just came in, Shireen and Jasmine. Thank you for joining us, ladies.
Miss Miles, are you related to Jasmine?
Yes, I am. Jasmine is my twin sister.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't know how she got this link because I did not send it to her. But
because you posted it on your Instagram, and on the flyer it says the link is in the bio, so I clicked the bio.
Yeah.
Okay, sister support.
Right.
Yes.
Another lawyer right there, right? She's like, listen, you didn't have to tell me. I did my research already.
Are you guys identical or fraternal?
We're fraternal twins, so I don't think we look alike at all. But you guys can be the judge of that. Kat thinks we look alike. I don't think we look alike. But yeah, my sister, she's in Atlanta right now. I actually represented my sister on her real estate transaction when she bought in Yonkers. I think it's going on almost 2 years now.
Okay.
So she was actually my first New York transaction that I had.
Nice. Very good.
Switch to her screen, or because Jasmine's on now?
No, she's not. She's on video.
Yeah.
Jasmine, if you speak.
Oh, she's muted.
It'll be, if you unmute yourself and speak,
Yeah.
we can see you. If you've shown your video.
Can you guys see me?
Yes, they do look alike.
Yes, like twins.
Yes.
Just like twins. Hi, Jasmine. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Thanks for tuning in on the show.
Yes.
Yes, Miss Miles. We all vote
Twins.
twins. Sure.
Okay.
For sure. So, Miss Miles, what's your role as a real estate attorney?
Oh, that's a great question. What is my role as a real estate attorney? To advise on all things legal. So that starts with the real estate contract. I always tell clients, because we get calls daily from clients that may not be under contract, or may not say under contract, may not have gotten an offer accepted, but wants an attorney to look over that standard real estate contract that an agent fills out. And we always let them know you should sign it as soon as possible, because the more you wait, the longer you wait, the more likely your offer isn't going to get accepted. But our role is to defend our client and represent their desires. So we start out with attorney review. So that contract that I was just telling you about, we always tell them sign as soon as possible. And if you hire us or any other attorney, they're going to disapprove of that contract and recreate their own. So that's the second part that we do, is drafting contracts. So we'll take that standard document and make sure that it has terms that's only going to be favorable to our client. After we do that, we're going to send it to the seller's attorney, and the seller's attorney is going to respond. And once there's an agreement on both sides, we get under contract. And that's the third part is negotiating. So representing their desires, drafting contracts, and then negotiating. Throughout the transaction, we'll also advise on certain things. Sometimes they'll ask for opinions, which we try not to do because we don't want to be liable. But ultimately we'll advise them on terms of the contract, whether they can get out of a contract or not, how many days they may have to do inspections, and then if for whatever reason there is a breach that may lead to litigation, which means that someone is going to file a lawsuit, we'll figure out whether we're going to represent them in that as well.
Got it. Okay. So that was a lot. I mean,
Yes.
when does title come into play? And like, what's the difference between what title does and what you do?
That's a great question. And I guess the question depends on whether we're practicing in New York or New Jersey. Because in New York real estate, the title company does less. And with attorneys who practice solely in New Jersey, I always tell them, you guys are like spoiled, because in New York, the responsibility is on the attorney a lot. So the title company is going to first search the parties that are interested in the transaction. So the seller and the buyer, they're going to look them up and see if there's any judgments against them. If there are judgments against them, those judgments will come up in what's called a title report. For the seller, though, in terms of title, the party that's most important is the seller. The reason why I say that is because if any judgments come up against the seller, that means that those judgments would have attached to the property. So our job is to work with the seller's attorney to make sure, or if I'm representing the seller, to make sure that those judgments are either paid off. So this is another role that the attorney does. We will either negotiate their judgments or debts, or we'll make sure that they're filed appropriately so that they can come off a title. And this process can take anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple of weeks, depending on what the judgment is. And then another role would be, I guess, determining whether that judgment even belongs to them. Because if I'm representing Madison Frazier and title comes up and the judgment search comes, there's 100 judgments that may come up, she may say, well, this isn't me. So I have to ultimately prove to the title company that the judgments that come up against her are not actually her. The last thing that the title company does is serve as what's called settlement agent. In New York, the attorney is a settlement agent. So we're the ones who go to closing. We're going to go through all of the closing documents with the client, unless their lender sends their attorney to do so. We'll go over all the closing documents with the client, make sure that they sign them. In New Jersey, the title company is going to do that. So the title company acts as settlement agent. They're going to make sure you sign all the documents. And then I guess the last portion, and then we kind of share this role, which could be operating as escrow agent. So the escrow agent would be the person who holds the funds and cannot release them unless they're authorized to do so. When I represent clients in attorney review for buyers, I always opt to hold my clients' deposits just because clients feel more safe when their attorney is holding the deposits, and you want to make sure that a seller isn't going to hold that over your head. So I always opt to be the escrow agent when I'm representing buyers. But the title company may also operate as escrow agent if you're dealing with like big investors, or when you're dealing with banks, they may want the title company to be the escrow agent. Or if it's the case where an escrow agreement is required at the end of the transaction, so both parties want to close but something isn't done, but you want to hold money in escrow so that you make sure whatever wasn't done eventually gets done. So it could be a CO issue, it could be removing furniture from the house. Both attorneys will want to hold that money in escrow, so we'll opt to have the title company act as escrow agent to hold the funds.
And what I like about what you explained, the difference between New York and New Jersey attorneys, because I have a lot of clients who actually come from New York, and I remember one client said, "Oh my God, like we don't pay the new, like, cause so he has a New York attorney and a New Jersey attorney. Don't ask me why. For the same transaction, don't ask me why."
Wait, what?
Wait, is that legal?
You do that?
Why?
It's so it's like one is the New Jersey, because he's buying property in New Jersey, he is being represented by the New Jersey attorney, but his New York attorney is like really close to him. He really knows. So the New York attorney is watching everything that the New Jersey attorney is doing to make sure that he's it's crazy. My client, and like these are like very like wealthy, so it's just like whatever. But anyway, so he said to me, he said, "Candace, oh my God, I'm paying this guy," and I was paying him like $1,500, which an hour for us, that's a lot for an attorney, right? I think.
What did he charge?
$1,500
an hour?
No. The New Jersey attorney's charging $1,500 for the entire transaction.
You said that's a lot.
That's normal.
That's
No,
normal.
that's
Right. That's normal. But I know some that charge a little bit less. But neither here nor there. So he's like, I'm charging him $1,500. He's charging me $1,500 for the entire transaction. My New York attorney charges me $1,500 like an hour.
Meanwhile, you're silly.
So what I'm saying is, but what I'm thinking is maybe it's because New York attorneys do a lot more. Like the title company is really going to do everything. Like the attorney in New Jersey is going to look over paperwork, like you said, make sure everything's like protected on paperwork. But he's not holding funds. He's not, there are a lot of things that he's not doing. So is that the reason why there's such a difference in pricing when it comes to New York and New Jersey attorneys?
In part, yes. So my New York deals, I charge a little bit more than what I charge in New Jersey, but that's just because of one, like you said, your due diligence, and there's a lot more liability because everything is on you. So if you mess up, If you mess up with a real estate transaction in New York, you may not be able to blame a title company. Versus here,
Right.
if you close and someone comes knocking on your client's door and say, hey, I got the deed, this is my house, you know that they have title insurance and they have a title company that you can look on, that you
Right.
can go back to. In New York, that may not be the case. But when we represent New York clients, I still order title. And I still make sure that all of that is done. I do my due diligence, but I've never heard $1,500 an hour, but
Right.
He's like, Candace, this is what he charges me. And
And he's just overseeing. He's not even.
he's only overseeing. So he sold
What a
sold
friend.
his
Not
New
really,
York
'cause he's paying
property.
charge.
Right,
him.
that's what a friend like.
No, he's not. Clearly, he's not friends because that's business. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's.
So he sold his New York real estate with this attorney, and it took him, like, he was billing him, by the hour, like,
Wow.
yeah. And so, but if you think about it, okay, what's $1,500 per minute? What's that? 1,500 divided by 60 is what?
I'll let you do that, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
1,500 divided by 60 is $25 an hour. That is kind of a lot. A 3-minute call is going to cost you $75. But, and that it depends what you're given in that 3 minutes, right? Like that $75 could save you $7,500 or $75,000.
That's a lot.
I don't know.
Especially if you have two attorneys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It could be the attorney's age. There's a fee sheet that attorneys are allowed to charge for billable hours. So if he's like the partner at the firm, maybe that's why he's charging that much. But a lot of times, and I have a cohort of attorneys, of real estate attorneys, and we always talk about and grapple with how we do fees, because in real estate law, this is the only field in the law where we don't charge a retainer. Right. And we don't get paid unless the deal goes through. And a lot of attorneys don't do that. My friends that don't do real estate law, they're like, Alana, like, what? You told me that you've been working on this deal for 2 months and nobody got paid? Well, like, what? But this is the only practice where that happens. And I have worked with attorneys, even in New Jersey, they're not as popular, who will charge billable hours because they want to be compensated, not $1,500. But they do charge they charge an hourly rate for the work they do.
Wow. Well, again, I'm super excited to have you on the show, Ms. Miles. Finally had I was actually introduced to you by another fellow realtor, Kaya. It's Kia, right? Kia. Always call her Kaya, but no, it's Kia. So when I saw her on your page, I was very excited, like, oh, there is a female Black attorney. Great, someone that looks like me. So I was very, very, excited. It's just, it finally happened, right? So I'm super excited to be finally and officially working with you. I want to actually go back to the question of title. I just actually thought of this as you were talking. So what happens if there is clout on the title? What's the process?
Meaning, like, if a judgment comes up,
right. So I guess it will be the same, like, as a judgment, but not an actual, like, lien versus like a name mix up.
Right. So if there's a lien, a judgment, any type of debt that's on your title report, it really depends on who I'm representing. If I'm representing the seller, then we have a big problem, and you got to get it cleared. You have to, because it's not going to clear, and there may be a lot at stake in getting it resolved. But the first thing you want to know is, does your client have enough proceeds to satisfy whatever lien or judgment comes up? If it's a lien, a lot of times it's easy to resolve. You contact the lien holder and either try to negotiate it or try to buy it back. Depending on what type of lien, if it's a tax lien, et cetera, you're going to contact if it's a tax lien, you're contacting the municipality. The municipality will contact the lien holder and you try to get it resolved that way. If it's some type of other, like, judgment or debt, so I've had a couple of transactions where, and now I advise my clients where they may take out, they may, install gutters on their home or do like a solar panel, and they don't understand that all of that is going to attach to their property. So if they don't pay it, it may become a debt. And we'll work with the company to negotiate it. So we'll give an offer. We'll say, hey, they need to sell their house. We always hit the line. We always hit them with the line. We're trying to avoid a short sale or foreclosure, which means, hey, if I don't negotiate this, I'm not getting nothing. So you always start and hit them with that line, and then they say, what is your offer? And then we give them the offer. They'll generate a payoff statement. We'll submit it to the title company, and boom, they're always happy because we save them money that way.
Amen.
Speaking of, just a quick question. In general, when do you order title for either your sellers or your buyers? What do you suggest?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So in New Jersey, you ordered, if you're the buyer's attorney, you're the one who orders title. The only time I would order title if I'm a seller is if I'm representing them in maybe a short sale, or it's an investment property and I just want to see what's going to come up in the transaction. It may be someone who's not working with an agent and they don't know what's going to come up. They may be selling a parent's home, a family house that's been in the family for decades. And we want to just make sure everything's clear. We want to make sure that they can properly sell the property. But typically it'll be the buyer's attorney who orders title. I like to order title as soon as possible. As soon as possible. And when I say as soon as attorney review concludes, myself or my office, I say my office because I have a paralegal and a couple of attorneys that work for me. We always order title as soon as possible. COVID has put a lot of delays on ordering title in the process, people going into the county to search for records. So you just always want to order it as soon as possible, especially if any problems come up, if there are any judgments you want to satisfy, you don't want to wait till the last minute to get that. You definitely don't want it to be a week away from closing and you haven't even ordered title yet, because now you know your closing is going to be delayed even more. And then God forbid any issues come up with title, you're now going to have to resolve those. And then worst case scenario, the judgments exceed your seller's proceeds and the deal falls through because they don't have enough money. So we like to order title as soon as possible. I work with a lot of title companies, or my agents. My agents only recommend title companies where if you have to terminate the transaction for whatever reason, they're not going to charge the client. So I like that.
Very, very fair. I also wanted to ask you this. I'm smiling because me and Ms. Miles was doing a transaction, and I don't know, something happened. And she said, are they trying to act up? I would put a lien on their house. I was like, I've never heard that before. Ms. Miles, you cutting up like that?
No, it's always like, I mean, as attorneys, like I said, you have to do what you have to do. So that was the last step that I was explaining, where ultimately you may have to go to litigate for certain matters. So if you get a deal and the seller is trying to back out for whatever reason because they know that they have a better offer, or if you're getting closer to closing and things just aren't going the way you want, if the seller tries to hold your client's deposit because they're not happy that your client wasn't satisfied with inspections, putting a lien on the property is always one of the quickest resolves to getting what you want. One, because that means that everything is held up. If a lien is on the property, they can't sell their house. They can't put it on the market. It's going to come up. It's going to come up in title, and no one's going to want to deal with that because you don't know when it's going to be resolved. And ultimately, when you file the lien, you always have to couple it with a lawsuit. So you file the lien, it's called lease pendants. You file the lien, and then you also file a lawsuit with it. And when I say that, most attorneys, we're not going to do that because it takes a long time to do litigation. But no attorney likes to hear that word, because that means ultimately that may cost them hours and hours of documentation, going back and forth, motions, filing answers, etc., and then sitting in court for hours. But we got to do what we got to do to protect our clients' interest, and that's what we have to do sometimes.
When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, Ms. Miles is not playing out here. So real estate has definitely vastly changed during COVID. So how has COVID affected your business, or in any rate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people in real estate share the same experience that our firm has been experiencing, in that it's been great. Business boom.
It's been great, huh, Ms. Miles?
It's been great. So business boomed. Like I said, I started my law firm during COVID. I launched it on Juneteenth, but um, I think the shutdown happened in like March, and I was still at my other firm, and we were kind of like refocusing. The new year, our new fiscal year for the firm was coming up, and it made sense for me to branch off on my own. And I was afraid at first. Because I didn't know, but then, things I just went for it. I just went for it. And the business has been really, really well. Has been great.
Yes, every time I'm on my timeline, oh, Miss Miles closed today. Cat closed today. Miss Miles closed today. So yes, constantly always seeing you enjoying this new success, and I definitely love that you step out on faith. And just want to go back to you being, not new, but you said, I'm using your words, not mine. I think in life, like generally, we are all new at, something. So hopefully people would just appreciate that and just, work with more newer people. Like just because someone is seasoned, that does not mean that they're doing the right thing. So throw that out there real quick.
I'm always grateful. My mentor, he gave me a chance, showed me the ropes. So I actually started practicing real estate in maybe the end of 2016, 2017. So he showed me the ropes. So I got to learn under him. And right now, like I have a couple of friends who want to learn the ropes. When people come to me, I'm more than happy to show them the ropes. They can't do it under my firm name, but they could, learn the ropes under their own license. And yeah, so I did so, and I took my time. I didn't take more than I could handle, and I asked a lot of questions. I really learned it. I got to learn people. I got to meet a lot of agents, and when I felt comfortable to do it myself, I did so, and I think I do okay.
You go, girl. What advice do you have for buyers and or sellers in this market?
What
I'm
advice?
sorry, in real estate.
Don't be scared is my first piece of advice. Don't be scared, and don't be scared, and you got to come with your best. You have to come with your best at all times. As attorneys, we negotiate, so we're used to going back and forth. But in this market, you really don't have time for the back and forth, because sometimes your first offer, whether that be actually putting in an offer on a home, maybe negotiating inspections, or maybe appraisals, but really like negotiating inspections. If you know that you really want this house, you want to come with your best. And if you submit a laundry list, it might not work out for you. So I always encourage my clients, one, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid if you got your offer accepted, then you're something is good for you. Like your agent is dope, and a lot of people wish they were in your shoes. So it's frustrating sometimes when we get, and I speak about buyers because I represent, well, now I'm probably like 50-50, but I started out mostly representing buyers. And it would be so frustrating that they would get this deal, everyone would be happy, and then maybe 3 weeks later, I don't really know, there was a leaking sink. And I'm like, you can't do this. You can't. You can't. But I mean, ultimately, it's their home, so we want them to feel comfortable. I never want someone to come back and say, Miles Law forced me to buy this house. So I always tell them, okay, you want to terminate? We'll terminate. But with that said, my best advice would be to not be afraid. You have to go in it because it's an investment, and some investments fail, but with real estate, I think that the odds are definitely in your favor. So go for it, and now's the time.
Great advice. I'm going to actually start saying that in my buyer's consultation. Like, we can't get scared now. Like, I think that they just become afraid as it gets like closer and closer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're so excited at the closing. I remember when the client was saying, well, who lives across the street? Who lives across the street? Let me get you the tax record. Let me get you the tax record. And after the closing, she said, I was getting cold feet. So that was a tip for me when they start asking the different kind of questions, sort of soothe their back. And why, most importantly, why does a buyer and or seller need a real estate attorney?
That is a good question. Um, so in New Jersey, we all know like attorneys aren't required, but I always recommend if one side has an attorney, the other side definitely should have an attorney. But regardless, you should always get an attorney because an attorney is really we're going to read through the lines that you may not have time to or that you may not understand. And people who are in real estate, you may say every contract is the same, they all look the same, but they're not because you'll read an inspection clause and you'll be like, okay, great. My client has 14 days to do an inspection. They must limit their request to structural and environmental. Great. And then we'll read it again. And I'm like, hey, well, did you see the seventh sentence that said environmental and structural? However, your request can't be, if your request is over $1,000, you can't make the request. And they're like, man. And I'm like, yeah, those are the lines you need to focus on because now we get to the inspection contingency period, and you can't make any requests because a leaking faucet is not $1,000. Fixing a railing may not be $1,000. A window maybe $995. So in the seller, and then these are things that an attorney or the seller may strategically want to put in there to protect them. And at that point, they have already asked to hold your deposit, and you think it's a great deal, and now you're stuck. What do? Technically, you haven't breached. Technically, they haven't breached any terms by saying no to any of your requests and wanting to hold your deposit because you don't want to go through. So we get that, a lot of times clients, you have to do what's most cost effective. So I always encourage clients, you got to go where you can. If you think that you can do it, you can go to an attorney that's much cheaper. We always encourage clients to do that. But with that said, you want someone who's really going to read all the lines. Like at our firm, we read every document, and I encourage my paralegals and the attorneys who work under me, like, I don't care if it all looks the same. You have to read it again and again because there's always one thing. Even attorneys that I'm used to working with on deals, I'm still going to fine tune. I may know what paragraphs to focus in on them because I'm familiar with their riders, but I'm still going to fine tune everything because when I represent a seller, I'll do the same thing. And that's just because you have to represent your client's interests. So if you know that there may be something that your client wants to disclose, but you don't want it to be out in the open, your job is to find a way to disclose it in a way that best serves your client's interests. So an attorney is important. If you don't have one, you can't rely on the argument that you didn't know any better or that you didn't have an attorney. So when you go forward with the deal and, your pipes start bursting or you don't want the house anymore and it's the end of the transaction, or you purchase the house and now things are going wrong, ultimately you're going to end up paying more because you may have to pay an attorney to sue someone, which is going to be a lot more than even $1,500. You're going to spend a lot more on that when you could have just gotten a real estate attorney to make sure the all the details are ironed out, and you'll have someone to blame if things are discovered down the line.
Real nice. I have two other questions, but I'll ask them at the end.
Okay.
Up next, Kat.
Customs. Well, do you want me to go? What is the most difficult part of your real estate attorney's position?
What's the most difficult part? Most difficult part, I wouldn't say is the most difficult, but I would say that one of the most time consuming parts is managing communications. And I know I talk to Ms. Frazier about this all the time, and she gave me a bit of wisdom about having a calendar and making sure that clients schedule time to speak with you and not always being so open and available. Because a part of it is managing communication. You can't get on the phone with your client every day. You can't explain everything to them. Some questions they may have may be more appropriate for their agent or for their lender. So I wouldn't say that it's the most difficult, but it's one of the most challenging to grapple with because you want to be there for your client. You want to help them as best as you can, but you can't adequately serve all of your clients if you're spending so much time with them.
I would definitely agree with, when I get a new buyer or a new seller, I do tell them the best way to communicate with your attorney is email, because they always want to call, right? They busy. Send them an email. I say, I guarantee if you send them an email, they'll get right back to you. I said, our email is like text, and our email is, money. So we looking at that email.
Right.
Do they listen? Most of them. But you always got that one just got to call. They want to hear your voice.
Right.
Get it.
Yeah, especially if I feel like I don't want to use the word old school, but I'll use it because I'm old school. Like I rather, especially because I drive so much.
Okay.
It's a lot easier for me to pick up the phone. Like you may send me a text and I may look at it, but I'm driving, so I'm not gonna respond to it. And by the time I get to my destination, I'm not gonna remember to text you back because you and 5 other people texted me, right? So it's like, maybe the top person I'll reply to real quick, and then I'm on with my day or my appointment or whatever. But if you have like that old school mentality, it's a little like your first instinct is to pick up the phone and call. But I do agree with Maddie too, because I always say, you also want to have things in writing, right? Like, why are you sitting there asking questions, and you may get the wrong what do you call it? It's like telephone kind of, right? So you may get the wrong information. It may have been relayed the right way, but you received it the inappropriate way. So then now there's like that whole thing. So I always say, like, yeah, text them, email somebody, like, don't just pick up the phone, So I guess my question to you is, where do you see yourself and or your firm in the next 5 years?
Just bigger. We're expanding now. I'm by the summertime, I'll have another paralegal and another attorney. So just expanding. I thank you. We focus in New Jersey, and right now I'm outsourcing all of my New York deals. Well, me and Kat had my last New York deal that she had the privilege of experiencing in part with me. But all of my New York deals now I outsource, but I want to get to the place to where maybe I could, with more help, I could also spend more time in New York. But yeah, continuing to get more experience and well-versed in the area. We're now doing commercial law. I'm increasing my network. I'm building relationships with more municipalities that have access to properties and are looking for either investors or agents. I don't represent you guys, but I work with a lot of you guys, and they may work with a nonprofit that does that represents investors, and someone may be coming into. I have a deal where I think someone is looking. Someone may come in and they want to bring their business into an inner city, and the municipality is looking for a great agent to find them a vacant lot or a property to house their warehouse or their whatever. So yeah.
Sound like a plan to me. I didn't know you were licensed in New York. Oh.
But you can still do. I do business in New York. You can still do business in New York.
See, I knew New York was that renegade state, because when the agents refer me their clients, even the clients are renegades, and I refer them back.
Really? I love my New York clients. I love my New York clients.
To refer. Kat was a part of this, so I tried to refer them back. They wouldn't. They just wouldn't have it.
New Yorkers, I love you. I'm one of you. I'm probably one of the renegades that she's talking about. I am.
But with COVID, a lot of my buyers now are from New York. A lot of people are transitioning to Jersey just because it's cheaper and it's more affordable. I was not cheaper, but more affordable in comparing the two.
That I definitely, yes, them coming over here, but keep y'all over there. The ones that be like so aggressive.
That's what it is. You don't like the aggressiveness.
So
I love aggressive. I
Mm.
love, because you don't waste time. Yeah. They know what they want. Like, because I've been dealing with New York before COVID, because I'm like right by the. So everyone from New York wants to move like right where I am. I love the aggressiveness. I don't waste any time.
Right.
No,
Straight to
no,
the point.
no one's
Right.
asking about neighbors, social security numbers,
Not
because they're
social
used to that. They're like,
security
listen, he's a
numbers.
pervert.
Right.
We're used to all of this. We're from New York, like, you know. So I love my New Yorker.
There's a big difference between being aggressive and just being wild. And there's a big difference between
I thought she was gonna say rude, like
Yeah.
just
Right. Wild. Just wild.
they wild, and we can be meek and direct. When I get somebody from New York, I'm gonna just
Give
send
it
them
to me.
send them to
Absolutely.
your crazy self.
Absolutely.
Ms. Miles, I wanted to go back to the buyer deposit. Can buyers actually lose their deposit if they are in breach of contract?
oh, absolutely,
Ooh.
absolutely.
Hurtful.
And like I said, I always recommend holding my clients' deposits because one, they feel comfortable, and two, you want to protect them. And I've represented clients where they should have lost their deposit. They should have lost the deposit, and I would have been okay with that. But you got to represent your client, right? So if you're holding a deposit, ultimately, like I said, I wouldn't say the easiest way, but the most direct way of getting a deposit back is to file a lawsuit. Most attorneys don't want to do that. Most attorneys aren't going to file. We're not going to do that because it's going to take more time than the entire transaction to actually go through the motions of filing a lawsuit.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, and is it so? Because I'm kind of going through that a little bit, kind of, sort of, not really, but yeah, really. And so, is it 100%? Can you get the deposit back? Like, is it 100% guarantee that you can get it back?
If you file a lawsuit, no. So if you file a lawsuit, no. But ultimately, what's going to happen ultimately what's likely to happen is that it's going to settle.
Yeah.
So because filing a lawsuit is like you have to go through motion practices. So there's timelines, there may be extensions.
Right.
You're going to have to file an answer. You're going to have a timeline to respond. Then you may file a motion to dismiss it. They may have a counter. They may have a reply. You don't want it to go to a trial. So ultimately, and depending on the amount of the deposit, you'll get before a judge and they're going to say, okay, I'm going to send this to mediation. And then ultimately you did all that and you have to mediate it. Or you may not have an agreement and then you have to sit before the judge, and that's going to take even more time because the judge is going to be mad that you guys haven't settled. So now they're going to make you.
So the judge going to be angry.
The judge is going to be angry. And I did this when I actually law clerked. When I clerked for a judge, a part of my job was to sit in these mediations and help people resolve their disputes, and it was an experience. But ultimately, if they don't resolve their dispute, then the judge will say, okay, you didn't resolve your dispute, I'll get to you when I get to you. So you're going to sit in court all day. You can't leave because you don't know when you're going to be called. And judges leave at like 4:30. So they're going to call you at 4:25 and say, hi, sorry, we couldn't get to you today. Come back in a week, 9 a.m.
Wow.
And then you're going to sit there at 9 a.m. and you're going to wait again.
Got it.
So this is why attorneys, we don't want to go through the motions. We don't want to do that because it's going to take a lot of time. But filing a lawsuit.
So wait, what if they file? What if you lose a deposit, right? But you're like, but you don't sign a waiver to release it, and they're like, all right, we're going to sue you for the deposit. Does it matter that they sued you first?
When you say they don't sign a waiver you mean so?
Yeah, like I'm the buyer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the seller is holding it. So that's a great question.
Yeah.
Because if the seller's holding the deposit and they have already released it to their client and there's a lawsuit, then the attorney also could be sued as escrow agent. So if they're saying that they released it, they really didn't, unless they're just not being ethical or wise with their license. Because as an escrow agent, your job is to hold the funds, and you're not allowed to release the funds unless you're authorized to do so. So you're either releasing it, you're sending it to a title company, you're sending it back to your client with authorization, or you're sending it to the seller with approval. So if the attorney is releasing those funds to their client and there's a lawsuit, then the attorney also has a suit. And the easiest way I would get my client's money back is just telling the attorney, we're going to sue you as escrow agent too. And they're going to
listen. Listen, let's hope someone hire
Miles
Alana
is-
Miles,
period.
please. Can we get the claps on
Yes,
that?
a renegade.
Can we get the
Put
claps
liens
on
on
that?
houses, suing people.
Yeah.
You see why Miss Alana all in my videos sold by Cat, right with Alana.
Oh, renegade
Okay.
number.
That was good.
Crazy. Renegade number one. We're
That was
going to refer to our social media platforms to, I'm sure they have some questions. So while they're rallying up that, I'm sure you've seen on Instagram where the seller has been in the house for an entire year and the buyers were trying to get in.
Mhm.
What is your take on that foolishness?
So I think this was in California, right?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Because, and it's funny because I was with an agent. I was with another real estate agent when I found out that no, actually my sister sent it to me. And she was just like, "Did you see this happen?" I'm like, "Well, why did they close? Like, I don't get it." So I think California is I'm just not privy on their laws and how that works, because I wouldn't have closed if someone was in the house.
Right.
But with that said, that is possible, because I'm representing two clients right now who have use and occupancy agreements. So I think ultimately that could have been the thing. There is a use and occupancy agreement. You hold you hold what you think is going to be sufficient in escrow. So if you want to, and investors do it a lot. So with this one deal that I'm thinking about, which is kind of panning out to be a similar California experience, my client sold his multifamily to an investor, and ultimately, like, it didn't pan out well. But we sold the property because we didn't want to deal with the potential legal results. So we did so with an use and occupancy because he was also looking for a home, and his use and occupancy agreement was supposed to expire in March. He had 3 months, and I know he's not leaving until July. He's not leaving until July. So that's what you have to deal with. But if I'm representing a seller, my use and occupancy isn't going to be, if you say you need 3 months, then I'm getting 9 months, and I'm getting 9 months in escrow just in case.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're not getting a sufficient amount of money. If you tell me this is what's going to happen, then as an attorney, you should always think about, okay, and then what if?
Right.
So the escrow should really be for the what if. They're going to get 3 months, but what if you break something, or what if you don't leave? Do I have enough money to cover myself so that at the 3 month mark I can file? I don't know. Well, you can't do evictions, so that sucks. But if this wasn't COVID, that you could be reimbursed while you're filing, while you're trying to do an eviction, or whatever you need to do to get the person out of your property. Actually, no, with the use and occupancy, you can get them out, because the laws are different for eviction. It's a breach of contract, actually, so you can get them out. But still, you have to do so with a lawsuit.
Right.
So you would still want a sufficient amount of money in escrow, so that while you're filing in chancery court to they don't call it evict, but I think they call it like erect, to erect the person from the property. You have a sufficient amount of money to cover your mortgage or whatever your expenses that you have. But yeah, the California situation sucked like that.
And I also think because this happened in January before we shut down. This was
Right.
2.5 months before we shut down. And I don't believe it was a user occupancy, which, by the way, I need you to break that down into layman's terms for our viewers. But I don't think it was a user occupancy agreement, because they said they have been paying for this
Yes.
entire time.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So maybe you want to break down a user occupancy and how that works.
Geez, yeah, that sucks. So use and occupancy agreement is basically an agreement that the parties may come to so that you can close. So there may be a benefit for all the parties to close by a certain date, but one side may not be ready to actually leave the home yet. So a lot of times you may see it in a situation with a buyer where they agree to a use and occupancy agreement so that they can close before their rate lock expires, for example. Especially when COVID first started, when you can get 2.5% interest rates, it may have been beneficial to close as soon as possible so that you can take advantage of your interest rate under use and occupancy if your seller couldn't leave for like another month. On the seller side, no, you wouldn't really agree to it on the seller's side. Yeah, no, you wouldn't really agree to it on the seller side. But yeah, on the
You saying on the sellers wouldn't
yeah, I'm
agree?
trying to think of situations where you would agree. Well, actually, no. On a seller's side, you may want to use an occupancy, like the client that I was telling you about before. You may want to use an occupancy agreement if again you want to sell your home because you need the proceeds in order to buy another house.
Right.
But you need
yeah.
you need the funds right away.
Right. Right.
And your mortgage approval, et cetera, is contingent on those proceeds.
Right.
So it may be beneficial to do a use and occupancy. You have that money in your bank account, and you're just paying a couple of months in rent at this point because it's not your house anymore.
Because that's how I've noticed it. Mostly sellers requesting for the use and occupancy because they need the time, like you mentioning, to get to pack, to find someplace else. You know, it's easy to sell your home in this seller's market, but it's much harder to find a new home.
Yeah.
So you don't want to lose the new buyer, you know, waiting and looking for something to come about. And at the same time, it's better because it's not considered more of a contingency
Right.
when they're looking to actually purchase.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Do we have any questions for Miss Miles on you guys?
I don't have any, no.
Social media. I'm gonna just check on Facebook really quickly, Miss Miles, because if not, I have another question I want to ask. All right.
Yeah. Maybe.
Custom.
Right.
Customs. Let's see.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Jason says, that's my attorney, Alana.
Hi.
She gets ish done. Yes, she does.
Good job.
Absolutely.
Good job. Good job.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And Ricardo also said,
Winning circle.
Thank you, Ricardo.
did I mess this up again?
Yes, you did.
All the time. Each week. Each and every week. My question was prior to us wrapping up. This week, though, or maybe I saw the video in two different parts, but I think this week she was kicking the door in. Did you guys see that part?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that was the lady in Cali.
Right, but I was trying to see, was it, maybe I saw it in two different parts, or was that the original video? Because first I just saw like a picture, and then over the weekend I saw her kicking down the door. I said, oh, so she tired. So
A year later?
right.
Whatever.
And who was recording this video is what I like to know. Did y'all see that video?
I did, and that shows you. I mean, we speak about renegades, so no, but see, that's something you could never do in New Jersey. You can't break down like and that's what's so scary, I guess, in being
it's a
a landlord.
State. Right. Jersey's a tenant
like you
state.
could never kick down. She was like, "Sir, move out the way."
Yes.
Boom, and like kicked down the door, and the guy's like, no. And I guess he started swinging on her, and
Yes, how you just come to somebody's house swinging?
yeah, but you could never, like, she would be locked up. Like, you could never do that in New Jersey. I don't know about Cali. I can't speak on Cali real estate, but that was crazy. Welcome, Chris, and welcome, Kenneth. I'm sorry I had you guys in the waiting room. Not for too long.
Meanwhile, Maddie can't get the drawing board together. Custom over here with the people waiting to get, and they dying to see Miss Miles. Meanwhile, she got him in the waiting room for you.
Thank you.
I know you got a question for Miss Miles.
Thank you for your patience, Kenneth. I'm sorry about that.
Miss Miles, before we wrap up your wonderful, wonderful interview, let me definitely say it was so bomb having you today. I was so
very informative.
Very informative.
I'm not surprised. Good stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
How can they contact you?
You can visit us on my website, mileslawllc.com, on social media platforms as Miles Law LLC.
Perfect.
And you can find our contact information on the website, email and phone number as well.
Did you change that email yet?
I didn't. It's not. It's funny. An agent literally just asked me that today. Like, how how much can I pay you to change your email domain?
So her email ends in .co opposed
Right.
to .com.
Right.
So when I send her info, I make emphasis like .co parentheses not .com. But still, it always ends up like the attorney didn't get it because you input it wrong. Like,
Yeah.
so
Aw.
they'll just
Yeah,
get
so
used
there's
to
a
it.
lot of Miles law firms. So that's the thing. Eventually we'll figure it out how to change the domain, but because Miles Law is such a common law firm, you can't get .com, you can't get .net, you can't get .org, nothing, but .co.
They'll get used to it. I'm sure your agents know to
Yeah, no,
emphasize
they
and
all
follow
everyone,
up, right?
attorneys, after a while, like you just get familiar. So like the attorneys that I'm familiar with, offices, lenders, agents, you get used to it. And at the beginning of the transaction, they may mess it up, but by the end, they know it's .co.
I just thought it was you being,
Different.
original, like
Right.
New York and code.
No.
I didn't. You didn't
No,
think
I
about
wanted
the
that.
Did,
I wanted the M,
Right.
We all want the M.
right?
Right. The M's, exactly. Does
Again,
anyone?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Anyone will answer any questions. We'll post the video. We'll put Ms. Smiles' information up so anyone can contact her directly for questions, comments, concerns, representation with real estate. Thank you, Ms. Smiles. Thank you, Real Estate Divas, for yet another successful Monday. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank
Good
you,
evening.
guys.
Thanks, Ms. Miles.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.